Good morning, boys. Now, this video is especially only for the class 11 humanities. Now, I teach geography. Now, if you look, now I don't know how many of you are familiar with the syllabus, especially of ISC. Now, based on the ISC, your question pattern or your marks distribution will be like this. So, please have a look out here. So, in terms of your syllabus or in terms of the question pattern, first question pattern will be based on the map, pointing. Now this map pointing will be based on the world. Okay, in class 10 you did a map of India, class 9 you did on the outline map of the world. Now again in class 11 you will be doing the similar type of map as well as the similar map pointing based on the class 11. So first question, especially on your question paper based on your syllabus, will be a map pointing that will be out of 10 marks. That means 1 into 10 equals to 10 marks. Clear? And this is the compulsory portion or the compulsory section. Otherwise you can say this is section A. Now in section A, first you will have a map pointing that is out of 10 marks. Then second question will be short question and answers. You will be having 10 questions, each carrying 2 marks, and that altogether will be of 20 marks. Now listen, boys. Now this portion or this short answer type question will be covering the entire syllabus. Because of the COVID-19, there is a reduction of few chapters only. Altogether, there is 33 chapters for class 11. Altogether, there are 33 chapters for class 11. So there are few chapters has been reduced because the syllabus cannot be completed. So based on COVID-19, so at least you are having 30 chapters. You have to go through 30 chapters, and these 30 chapters out of 30 chapters, you will be having 10 questions, and out of 10 questions, it will be carrying 20 marks. And this section A is a compulsory portion or a compulsory section carrying 30 marks. Next section will be of section B. Now this section B, you will be having 7 questions. Out of 7 questions, you have to attempt 4 questions, and each question will be carrying 10 marks. Now listen, boys. So far, before you sat for the ICSE, I think that most of you just went through 5 chapters, maximum 6 chapters. But in class 11, please do not take it lightly, because to attempt one set of question from section B, you need to go through at least 4 to 5 chapters. It means that a set of question will comprise of 5 chapters, minimum 4 chapters, maximum 5 chapters. So it means that you have to put more effort as soon as you come to class 11. Now so far, especially in class 10, class 9, your input, I think maximum input was around 70%, 50%. But here, especially in class 11, you need to focus, you need to give 100%. Then only there is a good chances for you to score better marks in the ISC. Now listen, now if you have that promotion exam, you need to be very careful, because you need to be thorough. And those topics which I will be discussing, you just go through those topics, and there will be few notes based on those chapter which I won't be explaining, because the notes will be much more better for you, and that will be much more understanding. Clear? So you need to buckle up and you need to give more effort, especially in class 11. Do not compare with class 10 or class 9. Here you need to give more effort. So before we begin, I would like to discuss few topics or few chapters which are very familiar to you all. Now these chapters, especially the interior of the earth. Now I think if I am not wrong, I think you have learned this chapter also in class 9, but you learned very briefly. You learned in a very brief way, especially in class 9. Now this chapter, interior of the earth, clear? In class 11, you need to go thorough. You need to go thorough. You cannot leave a certain portion because you need to follow the syllabus given by the ISC or given by the council. So based on that syllabus, I will be discussing few points for today. Make sure you go through it. If you have the textbook, refer that. If you do not have the textbook, just copy these points and learn it and memorize it and keep it clear, which will be very helpful for your next classes. So this chapter, interior of the earth. Now if you look at the earth, now earth has been classified into 3 layers. It means earth has been given an example of an onion, layer by layer. Now the earth is being divided into 3 layers, that is the crust, mantle and the earth core. The crust is the uppermost layer of the earth on which we live. Then comes the mantle, then comes the core. Now if you look at here, now how we are able to get information, about the earth interior. Now so far no one has gone beneath the depth of 100 kilometer. No one has gone beneath the depth of 100 kilometer. So even we do not have first hand information, we do not have primary information based on the earth's interior, but the geologists or the geographers have given assumption that the interior of the earth has these types of feature or it has these types of characteristics. The first feature of the earth's interior is that density. So if you look at here, first of all, what is density? Clear? Now density means mass per unit volume. Mass per unit volume. Now in terms of density, first the earth's mass as a whole is 5.5. Clear? Second point, sedimentary rocks are on the surface. I told you the earth crust is made up of sedimentary rocks. Therefore, sedimentary rocks are specially found on the surface of the earth. So, as the sedimentary rock has a density of 2.7, as it has a density of 2.7, just imagine, just beneath the sedimentary rocks, it has been assumed by the geologist that beneath the sedimentary rock lies the igneous rock. Clear? And the igneous rocks have more density of 11 to 12. Clear? What they are trying to explain us is that as we go deeper from the earth crust, the density it starts to increase. It means that with the increase in depth, there is an increase of density. Clear? And not only that, there are some views. Now there are some views that why the density increases with the increase in depth. Now those views or those opinion, the first opinion is that increase in density with the increase in depth is due to the pressure of upper layer. Clear? The geologist has said that the increase in pressure due to increase in depth is because of the pressure of the overlying layers. It means that the sedimentary rocks is giving pressure to the igneous rock, resulting the increase of the density as we go deeper from the earth crust. Second point, the core, means the center of the earth, is made up of heavy materials, that is the nickel and ferrous, which have higher density. Now what the geologists have said is that the earth core is made up of heavier metals like the nickel and the ferrous. Now ferrous means iron. So as these metals are heavier in nature, so because of that, at the core of the earth, the density is the highest than compared with the earth crust. Next, temperature. Now, as I think that it is very familiar with you all that with the increase of depth, the temperature also increases, because it has been said by the geologists that the earth's core is in a liquid state. Now, how the geologists came to know that the earth core is in a liquid state? Now, they came to know because of the earthquake waves. Now, I think if I'm not wrong, I think you are familiar with the three types of earthquake wave. That is the primary wave, secondary wave and the long wave. Now, primary wave and the secondary wave, they cannot pass through all the mediums, but whereas the long waves, they can travel, but it can travel in all the mediums. So these earthquake waves are very important because they are providing us indirect information about the earth interior. Now how we came to know that the temperature increases with the increase in depth? First reason is that digging of mines. Now especially the miners, especially those coal mines, those miners were the first one to give information that as we go deeper from the earth crust, the temperature starts to increase. And this explains us that as we go towards the center of the earth, the temperature starts to increase. Second point is volcanic eruption. Now, you all know that whenever the volcano erupts, it gives us magma or it gives us lava. Now, this magma or the lava, it is in a liquid state. Now, they are in the liquid state as they are in the form of metals. They are in the different minerals. Now, all the metals, they need a very high temperature for them to melt. So, whenever the lava gets erupted because of the volcanic eruption, it results the magma to come out from the interior in the form of liquid. So this shows that as we go deeper, the temperature is very high. It even melts the heavier metals like the iron and the nickel. Next, the hot spring. Now, hot spring is very important. Now, why? Because now a spring which has a hot water. Clear? Now, it's a natural hot water. Now, how is it possible for a natural water to be heated up, clear, without any human interference? Now, this temperature of the earth is the reason why there is plenty of hot springs. Now, even in Sikkim, if you have heard about a place called Tatopani, it means hot water. Now, those places, they have a fissure. Fissure means a crack on the surface of the earth to the earth's mantle. From the earth's mantle, the temperature from the core, it seeps out to a pond of water, and that water gets heated up, resulting in the formation of a hot spring. Now, increase of temperature at the rate of 12 degrees centigrade per kilometer. Now listen. As we go deeper, the temperature of the earth keeps on increasing at a rate of 12 degrees centigrade per kilometer or per 1000 meters. Next point, pressure. Now, on like temperature and the density, as we go deeper, the pressure also, it starts to increase. Now, why there is an increase of pressure as we go deeper? First reason is that due to overlying layers or presence of heavier materials at the core of the earth. First is due to overlying layers resulting higher pressure beneath that surface, and second is that presence of heavier materials at the core of the earth. Now heavier materials like the ferrous and the nickel, as they are much more heavy, the pressure at the core is much more higher. Second point is that due to high pressure inside the earth, volcanic eruption takes place. Now if you look at this volcanic eruption, now this volcanic eruption takes place because of the inbuilt pressure at the interior of the earth. So when the pressure exceeds, it results the volcano to explode. As the volcano explodes, it releases the excess pressure at the interior of the earth, and that is why volcano is been referred as a safety valve. It has been referred as a safety valve of pressure cooker. Now in a pressure cooker, if you have observed carefully, there is a safety valve. Now what is the main reason? What is the main reason for that safety valve is that if a limited pressure, if the pressure inside that pressure cooker becomes excess, if it becomes excess, that safety valve, it gets ejected away, resulting the release of excess pressure. Because if the excess pressure is found within the pressure cooker, it explodes, resulting in the destruction of life and property. So because of that, volcanic eruption is also been related as a safety valve of the earth. Next point, tectonic force is active due to pressure. Now tectonic force means what? Now tectonic force means the movement of different continents. Now if you look at the world, we have 7 major continents and we have 6, and there are many minor islands. Now all these continents are found in different plates. Here. Now these plates, they move into different direction. Now it has been said that the plates or this tectonic plates, the continents, they are not static in nature. They are moving constantly. But we do not feel it because everything with us, it moves. So because of that, this tectonic force is active because of the pressure, and because of that, it keeps on moving from one place to another place, resulting in the formation of different types of landforms. Next, earthquake waves. Now, earthquake waves is being defined as a signs of earthquake waves is known as seismological evidence. Clear? Evidence based on earthquake waves are known as seismological. Signs of earthquake waves is known as seismology. It should be seismology. Science of earthquake waves is known as seismology. That means the particular topic which has been referred to the study of earthquake waves is known as seismology, and the evidence based on earthquake waves is known as seismological evidence. Now if you look at this earthquake waves are of 3 types. Now those types of earthquake waves are the primary waves, secondary waves and the long waves. First, let us discuss about the primary waves. Now this primary waves or the P wave is also called as primary waves, and they have some few features or few characteristics. First is that they are longitudinal waves. They are longitudinal waves in which the movement of the particles is in the direction of the propagation wave. Next point, average velocity is 8 km per second. Third point, it travels through all medium, solid, liquid and gases. Next, Gas waves is also called as secondary waves. Clear? And these waves are transverse like light wave. Movement of the particles is at right angle. Means it always moves at a right angle. And average speed is of 4 km/s. It travels through solid and disappears in liquid. Means it can travel through solid but it disappears in liquid. Next, L wave is also called as long wave. It is also referred as a long wave, and it travels only on the surface of the earth. It travels only on the surface of the earth. Now this long waves causes heavy destruction on life and property, because the property is being constructed, any infrastructure is being constructed on the earth surface. So whenever this long wave it moves at a higher velocity, it results those infrastructure to fall down, resulting in the higher destruction of life and property. And this wave it travels in all medium such as solid, liquid and gases. Next point, behavior of the earthquake waves. Now if you look at this behavior of the earthquake waves, I have told you that all these three waves, it travels through the solid but it cannot pass through liquid and gases. Clear? So whenever these waves they travel from one layer to another layer, there is a change in the velocity. The change in the velocity, or few waves they just gets reflected or refracted to different angles, resulting the waves to show different types of behavior. For example, like the secondary waves. Now secondary waves they can travel only through a solid, but it cannot pass through the liquid. So as soon as these waves travel from the solid and it enters the liquid, it just gets disappear. But whereas the primary waves and the long waves, as soon as they enter the water, the speed gets reduced, or either the waves gets reflected into different direction. So these are the behavioral changes of the earthquake waves. And these earthquake waves are very important because it provides us indirect information about the Earth's interior. Because I have told you, so far no one has been deep inside the Earth. So this is the only source of information which provides us the information about the interior of the Earth. Now if you look at here, especially in terms of the Earth, now again the Earth is being classified into three layers. First is the earth crust, second is the mantle, third is the core. Now the earth crust is one of the outer layer of the earth, clear, on where different living things are found. Clear? Now if you look at here, now this earth crust is specially made up of sedimentary rocks, because sedimentary rocks is soft in nature and it can behave in a different way depending upon the situation, because sedimentary rocks is very flexible. It is not very strong, it is not very hard, it is soft in nature. So as they are soft in nature, they can adjust depending upon the situation. Yeah. So first, earth crust. Earth crust is thicker. It is thicker below the mountains and thinner below the oceans. Now, why it is thicker below the mountains? Now, the reason is that to maintain the balance of a mountain. For example, if you look at this Mount Everest, now the height of the Mount Everest is 8,850 meters. That is the present analysis, but what the Chinese geologists are saying is that present the height of the Mount Everest is 8,880 830 meters. Now if you look at this height of the Mount Everest, it has a height of 8,850 meters and its weight has to be balanced. Its weight has to be balanced. So it has to maintain its balance. So as it needs to maintain its balance, it is thinner, it is thicker below the mountains and thinner below the oceans. Average thickness of the earth crust is 33 kilometer, and there is one layer called as Moravic discontinuity. Now this layer which separates the earth crust and the mantle. Now this Moravic discontinuity is the layer which divides the earth crust and the mantle. Next is the earth mantle. Clear? Now earth mantle is the second layer of the earth. Clear? And if you look at here now, especially in terms of this earth mantle, the velocity means the speed of the primary and the secondary waves increase throughout mantle. Means that the primary waves and the secondary waves, when it passes through the mantle, the velocity or the speed increases. Now, next one. Velocity of primary wave reduces at the core of the mantle. Velocity of the primary waves reduces as it reaches the center of the mantle. As waves disappear at the core of the mantle. Means the secondary waves disappear at the core of the mantle, and there is one particular layer known as Gutenberg discontinuity. Now Gutenberg discontinuity is the layer which separates the earth mantle and the earth's core, and that layer is called as a Gutenberg discontinuity. Now next point is the earth core. Clear? Earth core means the central portion which is been said that it is in a semi-liquid form. So as it is in a semi-liquid form, the secondary waves cannot pass through the center because it is in a semi-liquid stage. Primary waves are refracted and secondary waves disappear. Primary waves gets refracted, it means it gets reflected into different angle, and the S wave disappear. Point number 3, primary and secondary waves is not received at 103 degree and 143 degree distance from the focus of the earthquake. From the focus of the earthquake, and that area means that area 103 to 143 degree, that area is being referred as a shadow zone. Next. Now if you look at here, this Austrian geologist, Austrian geologist known as Swiss, Austrian geologist known as Swiss Austrian geologist Swiss divided Earth into 3 different layers. Clear? Now previous layer, that is the crust, mantle and the core, that is the normal classification of the Earth. But this is done by the Austrian geologist Swiss into 3 layers. Now first one is the Ciel, second one is the Sima, and the third one is the knife. Ciel is being referred as the earth crust. Clear? It has higher concentration of silica and aluminium. Clear? Therefore, it is referred as Ciel. Clear? And Ciel is being referred as a crust because silica and aluminium is much more lighter. That's why it floats on Sima. Clear? Now Sima is being referred as the mantle. Clear? And this has silica and magnesium. Clear? Magnesium is much more heavier than the silica and the aluminum. That's why it is able to allow the Cl to float over Sima. Next is knife. Knife is referred as an earth core, and this earth core is been referred as nickel and ferrous. Clear? Now nickel and ferrous is much more denser than compared with the Cl and Sima, and that is why it has been referred as the core. It means at the core there is more concentration of heavier metals like nickel and ferrous. Okay boys, clear? And listen, one more thing. Few chapters I won't be explaining those chapters, but instead of explanation I will be providing the notes. Clear? Just make sure that you keep a watch in the school website and have a look. Okay, thank you boys.